Before we get started with today's video, I just want to give a quick shout out to Spino Dude. He just uploaded a video reviewing this exact same Safari Ltd Sarcosuchus figure, so please do go support him and check out his video and hear what he has to say, because I think that'd be really cool. We were supposed to upload these videos at the exact same time and shout each other out, but I suck and I got on this super late, so mine did not come out even remotely on time, so he was shouting out in his video, my video, even though it didn't exist yet, but my video exists now and you are currently watching it, so I hope you enjoy, and go check out Spino Dude. Hello and welcome to the review for the Safari Ltd 2020 Sarcosuchus. If you would like to purchase this or any Safari Ltd product, you can of course do so at safariltd.com or at amazon.com/safariltd, and you can use the coupon code BIONIC to get 15% off your purchase. There you go. That's all the info that you need to succeed in life in general, I think. Okay, anyhow, so the Safari Sarcosuchus, this is a relatively new figure. It came out this very year. And I'm very excited to be talking about it because it's one of those figures that looks a lot better in person than it did in the promotional photos, at least in my opinion. First thing that really stands out as being a lot better in person and just really nice in general is the sculpted detail. So I'm just going to zoom right in, right off the bat, right at the beginning of the review, just to look at some of the detail on this figure. Yeah, it's pretty darn impressive and just satisfying to look at all the scalation and integument and skin texture. Crocodilians and crocodilomorphs in general are great opportunities for sculptors to really play around with and just really experiment with scalation and kind of show off some of their skills when it comes to detailing and integument and all that. And yeah, this figure is a great example of just some really awesome looking scales. It's got the iconic, cool looking crocodile tail thing going on. It's got these kind of larger scales on the limbs, larger scales on the belly, and then some kind of smaller scales up into here, and then these huge armor-like scoots going down the back, and then sort of a smoother keratin texture across the head, which is accurate to modern crocodilians at least, so I think we can assume that that's probably accurate for Sarcosuchus as well. And yeah, it just looks really cool. I'd say the only area of detail that I don't like is just the bottoms of the feet, because it's so clear that the sculptor just kind of stamped on some scales in the middle, but it's sort of inconsistent and the toes are kind of smooth, so, well, I guess part of the toe is a claw, but it's, you can see it. It looks a little bit lazy, but that's it, really. Oh, also, the cloaca is kind of crooked, which is a weird complaint, but I think you can see what I mean. I feel like it should be turning off a little more with the direction of the base of the tail, but those are the only real detail-related nitpicks. Overall, the scales and all the cool crocodilian scoots and osteoderms going down the flanks and everything, it just looks awesome. And, you know, it's nothing necessarily, like, super innovative because Safari has made quite a few crocodilomorph figures, as we will see later in this video. And all of them, the detail and the scalation is kind of the highlight. So this is just yet another example of just how good the sculptors over there are at putting this type of stuff together. So, yeah, anyhow, in terms of paint, this is also nothing super extraordinary, but still really solid. It's a paint scheme that we have seen before. This combination of colors has been used on the Caprosuchus and also the Spinosaurus from last year in various sort of forms. There's some small variation in colors and stuff between these figures, but they're all pretty similar. All this kind of almost gold sort of tan color fading between lighter and darker shades of that sort of tan with some black accents, and you know, it just works really well, especially for a crocodilomorph. And I especially really like the black patterning on the tail when some specific scales are like totally black and then some are just partially, there's kind of black blotches and speckles happening. I think that's pretty cool and just kind of satisfying to look at for whatever reason. So yeah, the pose is one minor nitpick I have. It looks pretty good from most angles, but there's some minor issues with it. First of all, and this is an issue I have with the figure, this is an issue in itself, but it sort of contributes to the pose as a larger problem. The feet don't really sit flat on the ground. Like, I don't know how well you can see it, but these toes are sort of a little bit up off the ground, and same on this foot a bit. The back feet are better, but they still just, I don't know, there's no weight conveyed. It feels like the feet are sort of like puffy and just sort of sitting on the ground lightly, and doesn't really feel like the animal actually weighs a lot, and there's something a little stiff and awkward about the pose as a result. I think the way that the feet of a model are connecting with the ground is actually not something we think about a lot, probably, but very crucial to making a pose look natural and making it look like a real animal. And this figure kind of falls short in that area, but it is a bit of a minor thing, admittedly. As far as accuracy stuff goes, there are some accuracy gripes I have with this figure, unfortunately, so we'll get to those right now. First of all, the limbs. They're a little long and quite bulky. They're just a little too big in general. If you look at the skeleton of Sarcosuchus, it's a very large, intimidating, impressive animal, yes, but it has kinda dinky little legs, and the legs on this one are honestly a bit just kinda chunky looking, and the feet are a little bit big as well. It gives the figure a somewhat cartoony, sort of overly, like, puffy looking appearance. I don't know how else to describe it. It's a little chubby, I guess. Not a huge deal though. The bigger accuracy issue for me, and it's also a proportional issue, has to do with the head. The head is just too small, straight up. I looked at quite a few skeletons of Sarcosuchus in preparation for this review, and a general rule of thumb that seems to, apply to most of the skeletons and skeletal reconstructions out there is that the head, the skull of this animal, should be nearly as long as the space, or as long as the space between shoulder and hip, which is crazy. That's absolutely absurd, but it's true. So yeah, this head, some people say it needs to be like doubled, and I disagree with that. I don't think it literally needs to be doubled in size. That would be kind of extreme, but I'd say it could stand to be about a third bigger or so. The other thing is there are some proportional issues with the head. I feel like the big bulbous area on the end of the snout is a little too big. The eyes are a little bit big, and I don't know, the head just has a kind of a chibi, cartoony appearance to it. He has almost a cute facial expression, and I think the proportions of the head have to do with that. It's almost like, despite being too small, it still has the eyes and the tip of the snout from like a larger, more properly sized Sarcosuchus head for the size of the model, and so you just end up with this weird kind of compressed head that, again, looks kind of cute, kind of chibi, and it's a little charming, but it could be a little more accurate, I think, and perhaps a little bit more ferocious looking. I do also think that there are some issues with the dentition that I'm forgetting. I don't know the specifics of those, so I won't really delve into them, but you can look into a dentition for yourself if you're really curious. And yeah, that's about it. I'm gonna go grab my size comparisons. As usual, we have the Eutyrannus, and sorry, I gotta reach way over here. Just for fun for this video, I thought I would bring out the other crocodilomorph safari figures that I have. So we have the Caprosuchus, we have the Prestosuchus, and we have the Postosuchus, who can just, I guess, go right there. If I were to rank these, I would say this is number 1, I would say this is number 2, this is number 3. Sarcosuchus is my least favorite, but I still like it. And one thing I should really emphasize, I mentioned it briefly earlier, but this really is a figure that looks way better in person. I really don't think the promo photos do it justice. They make it look way more just kind of awkward and big and fat than it actually is. And despite the issues it has, I think it's really nice. So I'm going to be giving this one, I'd say, a soft 8 out of 10. Part of me wants to mark it all the way down to a 7.5. Part of me wants to bump it up to an 8.5. So we're just gonna stick with 8 for now. It's a bit of a conflicting figure for me, because it's really nice overall, and I definitely have a fondness for it, but it does have some problems. And yeah, that's about it. I definitely do recommend this one overall, though. And thank you very much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed, and I will see you all on the flippy, flappy crocodile tail, because it flips and flaps.